5.
Mr. Morrison.
In your box, but you pass it down. I'm
Sure.
sorry. We're ready.
What's this?
Oh, this is in the inbox.
Show tonight.
It's what?
Doesn't he have to
It's
Something in
first?
He has to do the
but-
whole thing, yeah.
So I thought this was getting taken off the agenda. It's on there.
Okay. Soil's not included. They're not on the drawing, but I did look at the soil report.
But they're not on the drawing.
With the address of the site?
Well, there is a drawing that shows where the different soil types are. I just saw that.
Are we
It would be in the soil report.
in group? Yeah.
Well, how about all this other stuff?
Oh. No argument there.
Okay.
None.
We have our consultants there, the soils engineer, stormwater guy, and the guy that did.
That pen doesn't want to stand much longer.
We don't
Yes, sir.
have a committee yet. Want to reorganize us?
Yes, you want to reorganize?
The floor is yours.
All right. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Lemke? Here. Ms. Hoy?
Here.
Mr. Midal? Here. Mr. Patrick? Here. Mr. Olszewski?
Here.
Mr. Kearns?
Here.
Mr. Levecki?
Here.
Let's drop down to item E, reorganization of the board. Open the floor for nominations of chairman.
I would like to nominate Mr. Midal for chairman.
I noted. Any other nominations from the board? Nominations are closed. You want to take a roll call, Patty?
Mr. Lemke? Yes. Ms. Hoy?
Yes.
Mr. Midal? Yes. Mr. Patrick? Here. Mr. Olszewski?
Here.
Mr. Kearns?
Yes.
Mr. Levecki?
Yes.
Nominations for vice chairman of the board?
I move that Jane Hoy be nominated for vice chair.
Any other nominations for vice chair? I move that the nominations be closed.
So moved.
Patty?
Mr. Lemke?
Yes.
Ms. Hoy?
Yes.
Mr. Midal? Yes. Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Mr. Olszewski?
Yes.
Mr. Kearns?
Yes.
Mr. Levecki?
Yes.
Nominations for secretary of the board?
I nominate Mr. Patrick.
Any other nominations for secretary of the board? Nominations closed. Yours, Patty.
Mr. Lemke?
Yes.
Ms. Hoy?
Yes.
Mr. Midal?
Yes.
Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Mr. Olszewski?
Yes.
Mr. Kearns?
Yes.
Mr. Levecki?
Yes.
Board is hereby reorganized.
Didn't we have an assistant secretary?
Yeah, I think, but I'll find one of the three if I need something signed.
Okay.
Okay.
It's all yours, Mr. Midal.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we have a minutes from December the 14th, 2021. Any comments or corrections to the minutes? Oh.
I move the minutes be approved.
My second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We have a period for public comment on the agenda. Nice to see so many people out on a cold wintry night. If you're going to speak on a topic, you must sign in up there so we have your names and all, but if you want to wait until a specific item comes up on the agenda, that's fine too. No one else has anything else to say at this time. We'll get into the business portion of the meeting. The first item is old business, approval of the Murray Corporate Park, SP 1021. This is out on Mellon Road and Route 22. This was previously brought to us a month or so ago. We reviewed it. There are some outstanding items. I called Planning Commission members' attention to the fact that the applicant's engineer has presented a waiver request for 4 items. Is anyone here representing the
Yes, there's a
applicant?
representative here tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, could you give us your name, please? And
Steve Caruso, Civil and Environmental Consultants.
okay. I assume that everything is in order on this except for a few outstanding items. Mr. Morrison?
That's correct. There's, as you had mentioned, there's a waiver request for the environmental impact statements. The 1% pipe slope requirement yet to be provided yet is waivers, if there is any, for the architectural standards. There are a number of conditions listed in the briefing, which should be attached for the approval process.
Okay, well, let's just look at the waiver request as the final environmental impact statement. Does anybody have any issues with granting that as a waiver? The air quality study is request number 2.
I don't have any issue with that.
Okay. The acoustic study. No issues with that.
No.
Community impact study. No. And there would have to be a
Screened.
request
But when I
for a
drive,
waiver of the architectural standards.
Correct. My client has a few questions.
Good evening, Frank Ewing, Murray Corporate Partners. Just like to point out a few things respectfully about this building and our, I guess, concern about the architectural requirements. We obviously want to make a nice looking building. This is more of an industrial building, used mostly as a warehouse. That's our plan. To put 20% glazing on all 4 sides would probably make this project economically unfeasible. Another reason, 2 of these sides of this building will not be visible from Mellon Road or Route 22 because the west side is facing away from everything. The north side will be blocked by the new Store Express building, which to me doesn't look like it has 20% glazing either, and the trees that are behind the building. So we just want to try to get a waiver to some reasonable amount of glazing that will please everybody.
You didn't ask for that waiver in this letter, is that correct?
Apparently we did not.
No, we did
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to do that and come back.
Well, let me ask you this. You indicated there are 3 sides that no one's basically going to see those 3 sides.
2 sides,
What about
the
the
north
one-
and west side.
What about the side that is visible?
We probably want a waiver on those 2 to get to some reasonable amount, which is what we're showing here. That's around, what's the percentage we're at? Maybe 10% glazing. So that's what we thought we could get to. Honestly, the architect I used to draw these up brought up some buildings that were recently done apparently in the area, and they were probably around this amount of glazing as well. So that's why we thought we'd do this, present this idea.
And
see.
this building is a steel building.
Correct.
Building.
Which requires brakes and treatment.
Which we have those in there.
What are they designed of?
They could be split face block. They could be a different type of insulated metal panel that would have a different
Yeah. We need,
look to it.
Are those along the base?
So we have a 4-foot high block wall at the base, but also the two columns there next to the drive-in doors that would be, like I said, either insulated paneling that would look different color, different look to it, or split face block. I have a couple different
Renderings down below.
opinions on that.
There's the rendering.
there we go.
Right.
Okay.
So you're making the verbal request for a waiver tonight?
Correct.
Is there objections to putting windows in the doors to help get there?
You mean the roll-up doors? I brought that up to my architect. The dock doors, they said it's probably not a good idea at all because,
Movement.
honestly, I can't remember why they said it wasn't a good insulation. They could get broken. But honestly, the glazing in the doors would be pretty minimal, Jim. Just tiny little windows, so we can consider it.
Yeah, if they're roll-up doors, that would be a real trick.
Yeah.
Oh, we've done it. It's just for dock doors, it's pretty useless. But the larger drive-in doors, I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
So you have two of those drive-in doors, and you could put glazing in those.
Right. Even the warehouse doors.
The man doors.
We could put glazing in those as well.
What's the height of the clear stories up above? What's the eave height of the building? 16 feet?
Minimum eave height, I think, was 26 foot. So like the highest would be,
39.
well, I think we dropped it. So at the front, the clear height would be 31.
Okay.
So those windows would probably be 25, 26, 27 feet high, which,
Make them a little bigger?
how much bigger?
I'll try to get close to 20% on that
Couple
side.
inches?
How big is each window?
That architectural plan may have some dimensions on it that was up there before.
Dimensions for windows and doors, it should be on there. But I guess if we're going to drop the front down to 31, right? It was 39 in the submission, that would reduce the required amounts.
Eve height was changed to 35 feet in front, 30 feet in the back, so clear height would be about 4 foot less than that.
So 4 times 330, so yeah, so it's reduced it a little bit.
So there's an update from what we have here. Then, because this is still showing 32.
Right. Yeah, based on cost and what our brokers are saying is needed, we decided to drop it to save some money.
I mean, it says those windows are I think it's just a typo. It says 16 inches by 4 feet, but I'm sure that's 16 feet by 4 feet.
No, I'll bet you those windows are only 16 high by 4 feet long.
Yeah.
That would
16
fit
high
on the
seems,
page you're on.
Yeah, when you look at the aspect ratio.
I was thinking they were 16 feet.
I mean, compared to the width of a door, they look like it's about a width of a door as far as the
16 by
height goes.
4.
It's an eye test.
Yeah, it is an eye test. Hold on. We're going in here.
How wide are those roll-up doors?
16, says 16 by, oh, you know what, it says 16 by 4.
The roll-up doors?
9 foot.
Single fixed windows.
Yeah, they're 16 feet wide,
Wide.
4 feet high.
Or
Yep, that's right.
what's the size on the window?
16 feet long, 4 feet high.
Okay. Why does it say 16 inches?
Well, I believe each window of the 4 is 16 inches wide. So 32, 64 inches
That's,
10 windows.
total. What do you think about that?
I think each single fixed window is 16, I don't know,
By 4, yeah.
16
Very-
wide by 4 high, yeah.
very misleading.
It may not be, that rendering may not be to scale, the windows that are shown on that rendering.
Can't be to scale because they look square.
They do look square.
Okay, so,
Well, So what was the calculation done for the glazing if we can't figure out what one window size is?
That's in the last sheet of the briefing.
Is it?
Yep.
So I guess I'm asking for a verbal waiver on this glazing requirement to make this building more economically feasible.
bear with us a moment
Mhm.
while we scroll down because we're just trying to save paper.
Yeah. So the south side is obviously the front, or, I'm sorry, the dock side,
And that's the side you would see
Correct. Yeah.
right?
coming down Mellon Road.
Correct.
So 20% is 2,635, and what you're proposing is 856.
Yeah.
We do the gazintas, that's pretty small.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask the reason behind a 20% minimum? Is that
It's,
some sort of strategy there?
yeah, I can't give you the specifics, but the strategy was so that we didn't have a solid face.
Right.
And it seemed like 20%. And I don't think anybody here has a problem with, going along with no glazing on the two sides that you can't see. We're just looking to see if we can get a little closer to the 20% on the side that you do see.
Well, yeah, we did do a design where there was glazing on the north side, so if we could change that to putting it more on the south side, then I think we can definitely increase what's on the south side if we eliminate what's on the north side.
Can you get up to a number?
Tell me what, like, how about 12%?
How much?
How about 12?
What are you now? You're at
3?
Well,
So the math,
6.5.
yeah, the math on the bottom and the proposed part is about
Yeah.
6.7% currently.
that's what they're at, 6%. Okay.
so if you wanted 12% on the south side, you'd have to go from 856 to 1581.
I can say we could try to make that happen.
I accept that. Okay.
I think
Just put bigger windows
everybody's
in.
being reasonable here. That's just my opinion. I don't speak for anybody else.
Okay, so your architectural request would be for zero glazing on the east and west side and north side, and
Wait. We're going to have no glazing on three sides?
I
Okay,
think
Can we do 12% on the south side, which is the front? And I'm fine with some glazing on the west side, but the north side seems unnecessary because the trees block everything, in addition to having the Store Express building there.
okay, so you'd have glazing on the east side
East side
and the south
and the
side.
south side. That we could get to 12%, I think. Do our best to get to 12%. About 10 to 12%. Can we do that?
You're hedging.
Yeah, but this is only a recommending body.
Right,
You think they're tough, wait till you go to council.
right.
Okay.
So, closer you can get to the numbers, the better off you're gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't think
20%?
anybody has any problems with the two sides that you can't see. But you got to do
gotta do
better
12%.
on the other sides.
Better than 12?
12.
That's our recommendation. You happy with that?
I would be perfectly fine with that, yes.
12?
12.
Okay.
There's two
Two
sides.
sides at 12, two sides with 0. That's a pretty good bargain you're getting there.
I can't argue with that. Is that something you can put down in writing?
We'll-
We'll make the recommendation to council.
yeah,
Okay. All right. That's fair.
So it's 12 on the south and 12 on the east?
Right?
yep.
What other outstanding items?
Well, we need to, is there anything else outstanding? Let's see, there are some comments. Jim, aren't there conditions?
Yes. Traffic impact fee. There was a recommendation for a fire hydrant at the entrance to the driveway. You've submitted for the MPDS, right?
Yes.
All other state and federal permits, they have to show evidence of those. Bond 110%, including the landscaping estimate. Approved easement for the access road to the pond. I need to get that to the solicitor.
The drawing has the easement on it.
Yeah, I need language, meets and bounds, okay? And then the FTMSA approval, sewage.
Okay. That's needed before final approval, right? Okay. That could be done at the next meeting if we have that
Well, I
sewer
believe-
approval?
I believe planning's in a position to make a recommendation to council, so if you can pull that stuff together, I can take it to planning on or to council on the 16th.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't hit the 16th, the next meeting's March 2nd, which I think is more likely for your approval.
All right.
So I missed something there about an easement. I remember we discussed that old easement for stormwater access. Is
Yeah.
that what was mentioned? Okay, that got switched and put on here.
It's on-
There it is, I see it, just found it.
Might put in your back pocket that treatment that you're going to do with the siding for the building break, carrying that skirt up, treatment up the building. What that might cost to the project.
Oh, just make sure people know about that, what it'll cost.
No,
You need to know what it might cost because it may be one of the recommendations.
Tell me again what we're talking about is?
The skirting that you have around the base of the building, I assume that's some kind of block, or
Yeah, split face block.
maybe you can take a look at what it would take to do that for your breaks in the building, especially on the visible side.
Sure, no problem. Is there brakes needed on the backside?
Well, you're going to be in the same position. If you're going to argue no glazing, you might as well argue no breaks.
Right,
So you might as well dress up what they can see.
right.
okay. Got it.
Okay, so we have a list of conditions, which are where, Mr. Morrison?
I have them written down here. Would you like me to repeat them for the
I would
minutes?
like you to repeat them so we can have a motion on
Please
this.
do.
Okay, we have the waiver request for the IS statement and the supporting reports, acoustics, air quality. We have the request for a waiver on the 1% pipe slope. And we will be getting a written request outlining the architectural request for the architectural waiver,
Yeah, right.
which will detail the actual square feet of the building and what the features will be. The conditions, traffic impact fee, $42,720, fire hydrant, the MPDS permit, any other federal and state permits, bond 110%, including the landscaping, approved easement for access to the road, meetings bound so it can be formally accepted by council, and the FTMSA approval.
Manor Road's a state road.
Manor Road is a state road.
Do we have an HOP permit?
They have evidence of applying for the HOP.
Yeah, what about probably 8%, 9% of the process?
Okay.
Can I bring up one other request? The fire hydrant?
Yep.
Any flexibility on that to not have it brought up all the way to the Mellon Road side of the property? To avoid
you wanna
running a
make a
water line 400 feet?
If you want to make a recommendation, that was the recommendation of the fire chief.
Yeah, is it John Bowler?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been having some conversations with him, and I sent him a plan. A little more concerned with having an additional 425 feet of pipe, just the cost of itself to do that. We already show a hydrant on the opposite side, but he hasn't got back to me yet, so.
Okay, council will weigh heavily on the recommendation of the fire chief.
Isn't this building sprinkled?
It will be, yes.
So,
Okay,
Point
so,
that out.
Definitely.
all right.
He knows, that's what I was concerned with. When I saw the linear footage of home.
Well, the condition's still there. It's up to you to try to get it removed.
Right, and I've been having conversations with him.
Oh.
Okay.
I guess that would.
All right, you've heard the conditions. Anyone care to make a motion to forward this to council with those conditions?
I will do my best.
I wouldn't even repeat them, just,
Mr. Chairman, I am recommending that the Planning Commission move this on to council with our recommendation of approval, Murray Corporate Park, SP 1021, with all the stated conditions that Jim brought up. And we are going to need that waiver in writing for the glazing.
No problem.
And the fire hydrant?
Well, that's already on here.
Okay.
so.
Second.
Moved, second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consider acceptance of Tommy's Express Car Wash. This is major land development on 2 parcels, 4765 Old William Penn Highway. This is the former Choice Auto site.
We have representatives here from Kimley Horn, representative of the applicant. This is, as you said, Mr. Chairman, to accept the application. I will note that Kimley Horn responded to the briefing today, and it's posted in the Dropbox. It seems to be sufficiently complete. I will note that there's a lot consolidation involved with this and the abandonment of an easement.
Okay, so we're just considering acceptance of this so that the review process can start in detail. You understand that?
That's correct.
All right, and the application is now complete. Mr. Johnson.
Staff believes it's sufficiently complete to be accepted. The applicant has agreed to sign a time waiver if necessary.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, I didn't see any elevations with the plans.
The architectural elevations?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be forthcoming. It'll look just like every other sort of Tommy's that's out there. There's a couple different color combinations.
No idea what that looks
Yeah,
like.
so we'll get you all that as part of the resubmission. Just so you're aware, obviously architectural is key to any community. There are a couple different color combinations in terms of the what Tommy's can provide as part of their prototype models, and obviously we'll get all that in front of Planning Commission for your consideration.
You heard the previous discussion regarding
Yes.
architectural standards. And
we are going to see
this building can be seen from all sides.
Yeah. So Tommy's puts a pretty nice package out there for their prototype. Hopefully you'll.
Is there one nearby that we could drive by?
We almost got one done in Pleasant Hills, and then unfortunately that deal fell through. So there's not one sort of within the drivable area, but we'll provide a whole bunch of material from Tommy's that relates to all their sort of prototype stores and everything else for your review. And if we can find one that's close, we'll.
Photos would be helpful.
Yep.
Okay, so can I have a motion that we accept Tommy's Car Wash?
Ed, your turn.
I'll make the motion to accept it.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have to advertise a public hearing for this. Mr. Morrison, can you just arrange for that?
Yes, is March 8th meetings
March 8th.
satisfactory?
Fine.
I won't be here. Live without me.
Be very difficult. Okay.
Is there, you want to see architecturals also as part of the submittal?
Yes.
Absolutely. Lighting plan, too.
Yep.
And justification to ensure stacking is proper.
Yes. Okay.
I will remind the applicant, the zone across from that car wash is mixed use. There's residential occupants over there, so the lighting should address that.
Yes.
Is that a 24-hour operation?
It is not. They have defined hours. There's always going to be somebody stationed, or it's always going to be attended by someone. So they have two different pay lanes or pay types, which is a membership or subscription, and they have a credit card and cash window that's there. So there's always an attendant on site during normal business operations.
What are normal hours?
I'll have to check with the franchisee. Sometimes it varies a little bit depending on the locality, but we'll get those answers to you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 3 is consider acceptance of the application for tentative approval of Cherry Farms Development, PRD 121 and S421. This is on 2 parcels on Cherry Drive. Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Ham's here representing the applicant. Prior to that, just like to make a statement. Any PRD application has a high bar here in Murrysville. Not only do they have to meet the subdivision and land development requirements as part of the application process, both preliminary and final, but also the requirements of the zoning ordinance, specifically the tentative approval process and the application requirements of the tentative approval process. In addition, they have to meet stormwater management requirements. The difficulty with the PRD is that once you accept the application, you're on the clock. And it's a very tight window, especially with only meeting once a month, meeting advertising requirements for public hearings, et cetera. So what staff did was went through the tentative approval application process just for the zoning ordinance at this point to determine if it was sufficiently met the requirements of a tentative approval application. We did not review in detail the subdivision, but that is included in the briefing. As part of a PRD application, the most important part is determining lot size and modifications that may be requested as a result to reduce those lot sizes or modify those lot sizes beyond what is required. In particular, this is an R1 district. So what was provided to you this evening was the requirements under the application for tentative approval process. The staff found that there are instances, many instances, where the application did not meet the requirement. In addition, the subdivision review in the briefing indicated a number of requests for additional information. As you know, the PRD is developed in taking in consideration impacts to the environment. Steep slopes have to be looked at, floodplains, et cetera, in addition to the calculations necessary as part of a preliminary site plan to meet the R1 zoning requirement. At this time, the staff does not believe that they have sufficiently met those requirements for tentative application approval, and as a result, would recommend that it not be accepted tonight.
Okay.
Chris with KDH Consulting Engineers. We actually have no objection to that. We received the briefing on Friday. We could have rushed to try and get something back in for tonight, but it just, like Jim mentioned, the PRD process is a very complex process, so we didn't want to rush and hurry something back in. I actually want to go through all the comments, look through everything. Hopefully set up maybe one more meeting with staff to go over the comments and just make sure we hit all the points. and hopefully come back in next month for acceptance of the application, then start the procedure down that road.
Comment that with us this evening are some of the technical experts that have reviewed the plan and provided comments in the briefing. So we have stormwater personnel here, soils, and the reviewer.
Might help if, to all concerned, if we hear from the consultants
Agreed.
and hear what they have to say. One of the things that Jim didn't mention directly is the whole key to this PRD approval is you get no more lots.
We are actually looking at taking in some of the comments from the briefing and re-looking at our total number of lots right now. We're working on developing another plan. Once again, we did have something developed, but we really don't want to present it tonight because it's only about halfway through. So we want to make sure we incorporate all the comments into basically one good resubmittal.
Okay, well, why don't we have these gentlemen sitting here, why don't they give us a briefing on what their comments were, their respective parts. Please give us your name and affiliation.
Good evening. My name is Don Housley. I'm a licensed professional land surveyor with KU Resources. I did the zoning and SALDO compliance review portion of this. My concerns, to make them relatively short, one question that came up was the phasing of the project that had not yet been determined. Try and quickly go through these. The traffic impact study was not yet completed. That, of course, plays a major role on your decisions and whether you would recommend it. Private covenants and private restrictions, I think we should be brought up to speed on. We needed, generally the reports that were submitted, we felt needed to be expanded. They were simple, one sentence, small paragraph responses to your questions for community impact, environmental impact, that type of thing. And we felt that those were incomplete, and for the benefit of the consultant, they would probably experience difficulties when they were put in front of the EAC and so forth. So it would probably be a good idea for them to expand on that. We have wetlands and geotech here, so I'm not going to touch that at all. The applicant is going to request a fee in lieu of recreational facilities, although they do have massive open space on the project. It is a conditional use, and as such, as Mr. Morris was pointing out, you'll have to grant that conditional use prior to granting any land development approvals for the project. Oddly, the applicant pointed out that they are not requesting any modifications. A PRD is a massive modification to most of your requirements, your side, front areas, lot widths, everything comes into compliance there. I feel it would be prudent for them, as part of their updated submission, to come up with a written list of those things so that you can have it in one section and you're not trying to flip through sheets and determine where those items come from. Building elevation, since it's residential, unless they're going with some form of a track builder, I don't know if you're going to get building elevations and structures. The existing utilities along Cherry Drive were not shown. That gave me a little bit of heartburn, not too much. Bud will talk on geotech about the requirements for 3-to-1 slopes in Murrysville. The plan is generally designed with 2-to-1 slopes. Trying to get down here to the more important things. The proposed conventional subdivision, I had some issues with that, and I think the gentleman that was just up here talked about that. But just to share my thoughts on this, there were a couple of lots that I was concerned with minimum lot area, but I think that can be easily fixed by adjusting the layout on that conventional subdivision. Lot 18, it's a very odd-shaped lot. There's a property line comes into the subdivision, and it's kind of on both sides of that subdivision. I'm not sure that would comply with your codes. Lots 2 and 3, a very large percentage of the lot becomes a stormwater basin, and I don't know if that's going to be permitted by your ordinances. I did not have time to fully investigate that. Lot 9 topo shows it a 1-to-1 slope. Lots 23 and 24, wetland and buffer setbacks definitely go encroach into the wetlands and buffer setbacks. Lot 1 and the roadway itself grading into the buffer setbacks. The eastern road, because they're not named, we'll just refer to them as eastern. The road construction is through wetlands and grading to support the road in wetlands and buffer setbacks. The western road grading for a roadway is in excess of the 1-to-1 cut slope. Open space does not have access south of Cherry Drive, and there's a stormwater basin back there that does not appear to have access to it. Grading overall, as I pointed out, is 2-to-1. Per your ordinance 220-21E sub 2, such a plan must be economically viable, and it sounds like you're redesigning it, sir, so that'll may be addressed, but quickly what I came up with was the one road, the westerly road, had a center line length of 2,297 feet. The frontage of the lots on that were 2,305 feet. So in other words, unless they had an excess of 100% profit per lot sale, there's no way that they could do that side of the development, that whole right side. So that did not meet your ordinance. So that's quickly what I had came up with so far. The gentleman here would like to talk about. Let's see here. I just want to make sure. The open space provided was 34 acres. The required was 22, so that was good. The planning objectives that the developer wants to achieve by using the PRD approach, I didn't feel that description was sufficient. I thought he should expand upon that a good bit. And we're into geotech comments, just real quickly here, going through these. The USPS, United States Postal Service in Murrysville, they indicated that they will address that at the time. My experiences more recently are that the post office has become very adamant about where they want these. They want them at the entrance to the plan. They want side pull-offs completely out of the cartway. Everything has to be handicapped accessible. I would advise the consultant to look into that now, not wait until his plan's designed and then he's creating walls and things to get such a thing done. I think that's about all that I have, other than the some of your detailed construction details don't match Murrysville, so like the cartway width, things like that. We didn't request those. Okay. All right. Okay. So basically, that's all I have. I would like to turn it over to Bud McCutcheon, a professional engineer with KU Resources, our geotechnical consultant, and he can talk a little bit about geotech, and then you can introduce Rich.
Yes, I'm Bud McCutcheon. My concerns geotechnically with this project have to do with the developability of the site. The area out there is landslide-prone soils for the most part, and that can be very difficult to work with. We need to know that they are going to do a sufficient job of addressing the concerns, and I don't believe they have done so far in the report. Just as a couple examples for reference, there's a lot across the street that I worked on 4.5, 5 years ago where a house was built. We found through 4 test pits, 2 that were good, and that's where the house is sitting, and 2 that are absolutely horrible. And they're basically in the same general vicinity. I think we're going to find the same thing over on this site. It's going to be very scattered and localized where problem areas are, and they're going to have to be addressed accordingly. The other thing is the soil types that are out here at this site are the same ones that underlie Twin Oaks Drive, which we know has failed. I think that's still set up as 2 cul-de-sacs out there now. Same soil type, so I'm worried about them addressing the stability of the site to the point where I've asked for more confirmation of strength parameters, how they're going to address colluvial soils, which are the soils that have moved from landslides or gravity down slope. Looks like some of their plans are leaving those in places. I want to make sure that they understand the consequence of that and they can prove the stability of the project to me. Rich, you're up. Rich Kaufman from our Plum office is also an engineer with us.
Good evening. My comments as far as the stormwater go primarily.
Rich.
There you go. Now? All right.
Save you getting embarrassed.
Okay. The comments, and I'll just go give a brief summary. Infiltration calculations. We need to know what's actually being infiltrated there. There was an assumption in the report, which given the soils that we're dealing with out here, really can't deal with an assumption. If they do not infiltrate, there are other methods that can be done, that can be utilized. One is the MRC, which is approved by DEP. Also, the types of ENS BMPs that are used. Recommend the ABAC because of the Category 4 water quality issues, I guess we'd say, impairments, TMDs and otherwise in the receiving watershed. We also are looking at, we need to have emergency spillways. Basins 1, 2, and 4 did not show them, and I did not see emergency spillway calculations. We need a ENS control narrative and calculations also. Time of concentration. And one of the biggest things we're going to run into with the MPDES is riparian buffer and wetland impacts. And we asked that, and this is all through the report, for the FEMA and the 100-year water surface elevations. And we're also going to need an MPDES permit, and the worksheet should be included in the stormwater management report. Part of our concern is that given that the basins are at the bottom of the slope, their impact for stability also.
I assume that you 3 gentlemen have provided written reports on all of this.
25 pages worth.
They like paper.
What would be helpful to me certainly is you use a lot of acronyms. It'd be good to maybe spell the acronym out the first time and then you can go forward.
I did not put what the MRC stands for, the MPDES permit. Yes, we can spell that out for non-pollution elimination discharge system or the managed release control. If they're not having the infiltration rates, but stability was one of our biggest concerns.
See, the one thing I saw on the one application was talking about, it looked like 177,000 yards of earth moving. Did you notice that? I mean, what's your all take on that?
Again, the volume itself is a time thing, it's a cost thing. I'm more worried about once they place the material, is it going to be strong enough to support the embankments? So the volume itself is not a concern. How it goes in, is it going to be strong enough? Does it have the right parameters? Since it is already landslide prone on the site, they're just going to rework that material. When they rework it, is it going to be sufficiently strong to meet the parameters that, again, that they're assuming? Because there's some assumptions on those parameters, just like there's assumptions on infiltration. I'm asking for more data along those lines.
Chris, you've heard this, you're going to see it all. You're working on some revisions. We have a recommendation from the staff to not accept the application as is.
Can we table it
Yes, I think you could table it.
without getting into a timeline?
No, you're not accepting it, so it's
Okay,
the
so
timeline.
we just don't accept it.
We don't accept it. But we have some people here who've braved the winter to come out tonight. If you don't mind, I'd like to hear from them. Is anybody, after hearing all this, please, I'll start over here on this side. You'll have to use the microphone, please, so the folks at home can hear us. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ben Dunnigan. I want to thank the commission for taking the time to hear me, and thank you everybody for coming tonight. I don't know any of you. This is my first meeting. You may have seen my property driving down School Road. Many of you have even probably walked up and down my hills many times. I'm the current owner of what was formerly known as the Mance Tree Farm. It's about a 16-acre plot of land that is directly in the watershed that we are talking about. And I've taken a number of years. I moved here in 2018 to develop it into a very small, hobby family farm that you may have noticed. I built a greenhouse. I'm supplying hanging baskets to Ferry's grocery store and to other small garden centers, locally owned garden centers. Sorry, I'm a little nervous here. I've done a lot of work cleaning that property up. There's a lot of debris down there in that valley. I've got nesting green herons that are in that creek. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that creek, of the years I've been here, in August it gets a little thin, but there are minnows down there. There's food for bird and migratory bird. I'm not for or against this development right now. I'm not really sure, but I'm concerned. And I know that, this is a big development. This is not some, a couple houses. And we're talking about landslides and that swamp. I mean, that swamp, that's the foundation of the creek that I'm talking about. I mean, that's where my creek comes from. I've got tree stands, and I've hunted deer and tracked them right up until I hit the private property sign where I couldn't go any further. But I knew, you can see, it's swamp, it's hills, it's steep. And even if you do all the work you can, if you do every single possible thing you can, the amount of sediment that is going to come down my creek is those green herons, they're not going to come back. I mean, they're not. I mean, to me, the environment is like really important. I didn't buy that property I could have, come here and asked to put 6 or 7 houses on there. I could have done that. I wanted to build a small agricultural, farm. That's what places like Murrysville need. I grew up in Pennsylvania. Moved here, like I said, in 2018. And I'll be honest, I've fallen in love with this community, and they're going to have to drag me out of here by my ankles or bury me here. I mean, I'm here to stay. I love it. I really do. And I want to be part of the community. And I just, want to look all you in the eye and ask you to really consider this really, really well. And think about things other than, bottom lines and, tax bases. And I understand politics. I get it. But, there's a lot more to, a community and than some of that stuff. And I'm just asking you to, I just want you to know my name's Ben Dunnigan. I'm at Clover Hill Farm. If you guys need hanging baskets or you want to stop by, I'm building a little farm stand down there, and Dave Job has been great. I've been really happy to work with everybody here. And that's all I have to say. So thank you for the time.
Thank you.
You got some potential customers out here.
Yeah.
Anyone else on this side? Yes, ma'am. And you have to just pull that down, that microphone down.
I know, I'll reach up and grab it.
Yeah.
I have a few questions, mostly for just...
Good. What, could you give us your name, please, ma'am?
I'm sorry, Valerie Robinson.
Okay.
I am one of the adjoining properties that's kind of two-sided on this deal. In the last meeting, they showed a picture that there is a retaining wall being built along the edge of my property from the, looking at the map, the left side street. Is there a height on that retaining wall?
No.
So it could be-
Is there a height limit? Is that your question?
Well, is there a proposed height, I guess is the question. I mean, is it a 3-foot wall or is it a 30-foot wall?
Can't answer that right
Okay.
now, ma'am.
Is there a setback to put that retaining wall?
I think the top of it has to be, what, 3 feet, or is it 5 feet?
I think it's 5 feet. I
5
won't
feet?
swear to it.
From your property
From my
line?
property. Okay. Part of my driveway is also the Paper Street Diana May Lane, which would run into one of it. Any chance of that being used as a construction entrance?
Not if it's a private lane.
It's not private, it's Paper Street.
It's a paper street, you say?
Whose property is it on?
It's the Paper Street that was originally there from 60-some years ago.
Well, there would be ownership of both properties, adjoining properties.
Okay, I'm one of them then.
I don't believe, Mr. Ham, you're indicating that that's not going to be used as a construction entrance?
Okay. And then the proposed sewage. I know they showed showed that it was down at the old farm, and it's running out from there. Where's it running to?
I'm sorry,
Okay,
Sewage, which way is the sewage running? Where's it going to?
I don't know.
From the old farm to where? Is it going out through his
Mr. Ham,
farm?
what are you proposing?
Let's get the microphone over there. Excuse me.
But I know if I don't talk into the mic, someone's going to come out in the back and yell at me.
That's right.
At this time, we met with FTMSA a couple weeks ago to discuss a possible. The plan right now is a pump station at the Valley on Cherry Drive that we will pump up. I guess that would be to the east to a manhole located up there. We looked at gravity the whole way down the valley. There's a few issues with that. One, there's constructability on our end. Two, there is maintenance issues that are just going to be a giant future headache for FTMSA. We have no issue with granting an easement if somebody ever wants to bring gravity up through the valley, through the property, to allow someone else to continue gravity up through there. Plus, if you look at the next property above us, there's a rather large tract above us, or to the north of us, but it actually starts rolling over top of the hill. So there's not a whole lot more property to be served beyond us as far as gravity. So at this time right now, it's speaking with FTMSA, we talked about individual grinder pumps throughout the system, a full E1 grinder pump system within the plan that pumps up, and a pump station and possible gravity. And I know speaking with FTMSA at the last meeting, the direction we're heading in is a pump station.
I'm kind of curious. Back in March, there was a meeting, and I think, Bob, you mentioned that a pump station wasn't something that FTMSA would accept. I mean, is that changed?
No, they have to make application to FTMSA, which I believe, I don't know whether you've done that.
We wanted to at least get through the conventional plan and discuss with the municipality. And like I said, we did have one preliminary meeting with FTMSA, and they were open to the pump station at that meeting.
But you need a pump station for the conventional plan, no?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying you're working on the conventional plan, so you
Where's it
really
gonna
have to
be?
have, pardon?
Where's it going to be on the conventional plan?
Yeah, but
Same
yeah.
location. It'll be along Cherry Drive.
And how is that pump station spec'd?
It'll be spec'd from FTMSA.
Yeah, they would. What do you mean? Well, there's a whole list of specifications for what they're going to.
I mean, we'll end up being the ultimate, on our end, we'll be the ultimate designer, but there's a lot of different types of pump stations, so we don't want to just design one, submit it to FTMSA, and then them come back and say, no, we use these controls, we use this basically.
There's a whole litany of things. There's not.
Where. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, you're talking about designing the pump station, and you all are going to build it as well?
Yes.
And you're going to maintain it?
No.
Who's going to maintain it?
FTMSA.
Oh, is that just like the one on School Road?
Yeah.
You're happy with that station?
One on School Road, no.
Okay.
It's an old one,
It's been there for.
ever.
I believe right now in FTMSA system there's 14 pump stations.
13 or 14, that's right.
And DPA is real happy with that too?
The DEP?
DEP, sorry.
The DEP really doesn't, if it meets
Well,
planning.
You would, in order to do this, to build a pump station, a sewage pump station, first of all, they're going to have to do a planning module where they get that approved through planning. Then they have to apply for a Part 2 permit, a construction permit. And that's after FTMSA signs off on whatever it is they've designed.
Okay.
And the planning module will take place whether we're doing a pump station, a grinder pump, or gravity.
Yes. Yeah, because this is, because we're on, FTMSA is under a consent order, you would have to do the whole, you're just not going to get by with a postcard.
No. Yeah, we'd have to do the componentry planning modules.
Ma'am, anything else?
Sorry, ma'am.
That's all right. And one last thing. He mentioned, one of these gentlemen, I'm sorry, about a 100-year storm runoff. If you had seen my driveway the other day with just some snow melt, I think you might want to figure a 500-year storm runoff. Because it was a river coming down, and I'm not even in the wet spot. That's just what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. On this my left side, anyone else over there? No? Okay, we'll start over here on this side, towards the front. Go ahead, sir, you're up. You were quicker.
Hi, guys. I'm Jeff Iano. I've been living here in Murrysville for about 25 years. I live on Windover Road, probably at the highest point on that specific property.
Address.
And the reason that I come before you guys today is based upon a couple of things the gentleman here said. And
Can we back up? Could I get your name again, sir?
Yes.
Could I get your name again, sir?
What's that?
Could I get your name again?
Oh, Jeffrey Iano.
Iano, okay.
An address.
What's your address?
Address.
3727 Windover Road.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It's interesting that we were talking about landslides here not too long ago, a couple of seconds ago, because when I moved into the neighborhood back in probably '98, the hillside right in front of my property, right across the street, that would be on top of North Hills Extension, had a major landslide that almost took out the road. And you can still see the remnants of that landslide anytime you guys want to drive by. All you got to do is walk down the hill there. The reason I bring that up is because onto this property there are two access routes to this property. One is off Windover, which is a paper road. The other one is off Cherry Lane, which is another paper road. And when I say paper road, that was, again, 40 years ago, the original access points to that field that we're talking about. From what I've heard that we're planning on using the Windover access to possibly get heavy equipment in there. Is that true? How do you plan on getting the equipment into the lot to do construction, the heavy equipment?
There's I don't know whether you've seen the plans yet or not, but there's considerable frontage of this property along Cherry Drive.
Right. And that considerable frontage is some pretty steep terrain from the farmhouse down at the bottom of the hill all the way to the top of that hill. So they're going to, on Cherry, pass the first 4 houses and then make that left and get into that property, unless they go up the valley and try to get into the property from down there somehow. So my point is, my neighbor across the street from 3727 has FTS MSA sewage coming through his backyard, underground access. And he has there's a manhole on the cover right there on the left-hand, sweeping left-hand turn there at about 3 doors down from my house. And from there, it makes a left, goes down over the hill to another manhole. Now, the reason I bring that up is because he's got gray water down there probably every other day, just from the houses on Windover. So that sewage system that goes down Windover is inadequate for the houses on Windover at this specific time. If his pump stations decide to pump any fluid up the hill toward Windover, we're not going to be able to take it because the sewage system's not adequate for it. And again, if you want to go down and take a look at the gray water down at the bottom of his hill, feel free. Stop over at my house. I'll walk you down the hill. His name is Nino. I don't know his last name. Sorry. But Nino and I have talked about this on many occasions. He's pretty upset, but he does a lot of traveling, so he couldn't come over today.
So if I go out Windover,
Here's this paper street.
Is
there a gas well there?
there's a gas well down here.
No, but
There was one that.
We're not all the way around the corner. That manhole covers right on the corner. So you have Snyder's to the right of me. You have Kreitzberg's to them. Then you have Mike's house, and then right in front of Mike's house, where the old barber shop, if you guys remember where the barber shop was. There's a manhole right there. From that manhole, it goes left across the street, down the hill to another manhole, and that's where the water is bubbling up at, probably in the mornings. I don't know. I don't sit down there and watch it or anything. So.
Okay. Good information. Thank you.
What I'm concerned about, though, on Windover is if they use that paper road for access and they're going to move trucks along that road, if they were to, and we lose that hillside, that's going to be a major construction project trying to get that hillside, that roadway, Windover Road, back up and running just past North Hills Extension. Additionally, I live on top of the hill. I live at the highest point, or the highest point on Windover, or should I say that property is right behind my house. I have a few concerns about possible runoff coming from wherever they decide to build at toward my property. I have no problem with them building in that lot. I'd like them to adhere to the 1 acre rules that we have in Murrysville. I don't want this to turn into Penn Hills or Allegheny County and have houses all over each other. One thing I have learned about Murrysville from living here for 25 years, we do things our own way, and we're rated number 5, number 6 in Pennsylvania for a reason. And these meetings are a reason why we have that high of rating for living standards. So.
Excuse me.
I think I pretty much covered it for now. If I have anything more on our next meeting, I'll come back.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions or anything?
No.
Thank you.
Lady up here, the pink sweater.
Good evening, and thank you for listening to my comments. I just have one comment.
Can you give us your name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Carol Schneider. My husband, Walt Tausch, and I live at 5120 Cherry Drive, which is on the Murrysville side of the horse farm. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I would like to echo this gentleman's concern about the environment and the impact on the wetlands. My question is why we would vary from the 1 acre standard of Murrysville. I don't understand why they would be permitting half acre.
every residential developer has that opportunity to demonstrate how
You put that up on the screen.
a project, his project, would better protect the environment by doing the PRD approach in a nutshell. So it's not it's a conditional approval that the municipality can grant if they meet all the other conditions.
He's not going to get more houses than he would if he built on R1 1-acre lots. That's why he has to provide a full-fledged plan that shows us that he could get, let's say, 40 lots and stay out of the wetlands and not build on steep slopes. And he has to prove to us that you can build a house on each one of these lots. And then to protect the wetlands and allow more green space and not have, a big house here on a lot and a big house here, and, consolidate the sizes of the lots smaller, allow more green space, and protect the wetlands. So that's kind of one of the reasons that the PRD was developed.
I see.
He's not able to get more houses, just smaller lots to protect the environment and what's there.
And provide open spaces.
Right.
I see. All right, thank you. That's it.
Next over there on that side, this gentleman. Name and address, sir.
Yeah, sure. My name is Marty Weir. I live at 3765 Windover Road. My family, we own formerly the Bassett Farm. We've lived here since the 40s. This gentleman indicated that there wasn't much property above that. By our count, we have 60 acres on that side of the road, 30 acres of which would drain into this drainage basin. The neighboring farm, who we lease, Norm Carlson, owns 110 acres. Of that property, another 35 would drain into that property as well. Full disclosure, I'm a sewer and water contractor, mechanical contractor, so, we're concerned about approving a plan that isn't going to take into account future development. We're not going to bring the infrastructure, allow this to go forward, and then essentially, kicking the can down the road for anyone else. We have no plans to develop the property. My father has 10 grandchildren who someday may want to put a house there. And if we can't sewer the property, that's a problem. So we just ask for that consideration. They're going to size this pump station as small as possible to get it approved. We're just asking you to be responsible, look for future development, and kind of do the right thing with that regards, not allow a quick and easy plan. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
On this side again, move on further back. No one else. There's been some other people that have signed up, but I guess, ma'am.
Alice Malicki, Cherry Drive, 4802. And I just have a quick question about the, I guess, the so-called green space. It's, as you probably know, it's a very graded area with lots of wetlands and whatever and steep slopes. Even if they do put smaller lots in order to maximize some space there, I don't see how they can call it green space because people won't be able to roam on there. I mean, you're not going to be able to use it for anything. Yeah, the only slightly good thing is that it'll be a little bit better for the environment, but I don't know. Thoughts on that?
Okay.
She's asking if we have thoughts on that.
Yeah.
What?
If you have thoughts on the fact that, like, the sort of proposed green space is, it's not green space. I don't think it can be called green space that is usable for the people there in the properties. It's not something that they can use it for, like, hiking or anything like that. It's just sort of, the good thing is that they're going to avoid some things, but I just don't see how it can be called a green space, a traditional
Well,
green
it's
space.
not necessary. I think calling it green space is one term for it. It's in the
Open
ordinance
space.
is referred to as open space, where nothing's built.
Yeah. I just have a concern too, just about like, with all of the slopes and everything like that, I don't know how they're, and also the soil, I don't know how they're going to be able to prove that they can build homes, viable homes, on those soils and with the water table. My mother-in-law, who's on at 4802 Cherry Drive, she has an underground stream and things like that goes underneath it, that already she has to, even with, she was finally granted access to let her sewage be hooked into a manhole just one house down at the intersection of Windover and Cherry, if you know where that is. And that took a while to even be granted that access, because she would have had to have had condemned her house. They had just bought the house, like say 4 years ago or something like that, and it was so bad that they didn't have sewage. They didn't have city sewage. They had a tank. What is that called?
Septic tank.
Thank you, septic tank, and it was getting filled up very quickly whenever there was any kind of water. So anyway, but that's the kind of water that is in that area, and it's even worse, I think, in the wetlands. So I don't even understand, I'm not even understanding how it's going to be viable. And I appreciate what Jeff brought up too about the landslide that occurred across the street from him. I don't know, I just don't understand how it's going to be a viable thing. I mean, they can put as much land as they want in there, and they were talking about last time in the EAC meeting that they're just going to try to fill in stuff. Okay, that's great, but water has a way of wheedling its way around those things. It's going to destroy it. So those are just some thoughts that I had. I appreciate the consideration.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on this side? Anyone else? Okay, Patty. Here's the sign-up sheet. Okay, we've heard from everyone. I believe a motion is in order to not accept the plan as presented now.
I'll make a motion to not accept the plan at tonight's meeting.
Is there a second to the motion? Second, thirded. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you all for your attendance. The next item is scheduling a public hearing or advertising for a public hearing. I believe that we would delay that until we actually have an application.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you all for your attendance this evening, and feel free to. Somebody had a second thought back there. Please come up, give us your name, and use the microphone.
My name is Greg Schneider, and I live at 3560 Applecroft Lane. And I know there's been some concern with the water that we've all been talking about here this evening. I'd actually like to show you what happens in my backyard from the property that's just the property that's going to be developed currently. So if you would like to take a look, my basement has been flooded a number of times, and there has been, I mean, if I may I
If you want to email that to me, I'll make it available to the
send you
planning
multiple
commission.
things that I can show you, but like to give you an idea, this is the back here, what I'm dealing with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So my basement is flooded a number of times.
And you live where in relationship to this plan?
Go up the hill and make a left.
Yes.
It's kind of
Applecroft. You go
Yeah.
to the end of Applecroft.
Go past
Okay.
Ed's.
Sir, can you email that to me, please, for the record? Do you have my email address?
Not, but I'm sure I can get that for you.
It's jmorrison@murrysville.com.
Got to send it right now.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else having second thoughts about speaking tonight? No? Okay, we have no other business.
No, sir.
Nothing in the pipeline, Mr. Morrison?
Not currently.
Not currently, okay.
I make a motion to
Adjourn?
adjourn.
Second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you all.